Today we're in Tuscany at the magnificent farmhouse of Keith Johnson and Glen Senk. Keith, who spent many years as the visionary buyer-at-large for Anthropologie, and Glen, the company's former CEO, fell in love with this centuries-old home at first sight. Surrounded by sweeping views of the Italian countryside, Keith has filled his house with extraordinary objects.
I love this table. This is another seriously heavy object, refractory table that's at least 200 years old, probably 300 years old. I'm one of those people who constantly moves furniture around, trying to place things. Oh, would it look better here? Would it look better there? This got into the place and has not moved and will not move because you need like 4 people to help.
For Keith, objects are never just material things. They carry stories, the soul of the maker, the passion of the collector, the quiet history of hands that have shaped and cherished them over time.
What I love about Italian dealers, it's not about the money, and this is with a lot of antique dealers. It's really, I mean, people just love the objects. They love the stuff. So, you know, it's interesting how meaningful those finds can be and how meaningful that to interact with something so beautiful.
Outside, the magic continues. Charming guest cottages framed by old chestnut trees, a cinematic pool overlooking the mountains, and an effortless garden that captures the essence of Tuscan living.
This is the place to be. This bench, just the best view in the house.
To watch Keith's full home tour ad-free, where he shows us a delightful guest cottage and shares more stories from his remarkable career, scan the QR code or click the join button below. And if you haven't already, be sure to watch our tour of Keith's stunning home in England to see how his love of craftsmanship and beauty carries seamlessly from the English countryside to the hills of Tuscany. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. I'm Allison Kenworthy, the founder of Homeworthy, and we take you inside the world's most beautifully decorated homes and introduce you to the brilliant people who live there.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Liz Lang. Welcome to Grey Gardens.
Click the join button below to access all of our latest episodes ad-free and watch extended cuts of this and other homes, opening the doors to new rooms and exclusive content featuring our beloved hosts.
I can't wait to see, I'm so excited.
And if you're looking to shop items inspired by this and other Homeworthy tastemakers, be sure to use the product links below or scan the QR code on screen to find fabulous furniture, coffee table books, and accessories that can transform your house into a home.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Keith Johnson, and welcome to our home in Tuscany. Come on in. Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Keith Johnson, and welcome to our home in Tuscany. I was very privileged to do another Homeworthy in my place in England, and people were so kind, and I loved the comments so much, and enjoyed the experience so much that I wanted to do it again. And we have a place that we love very much in Tuscany, and I thought I would share our Tuscan house with you. I know everyone's heard the same, you know, we've all said it. We saw the house and we fell in love with it, and we knew it was ours from the moment we walked in the door. I know I've heard myself say it. But when you're married to someone like Glen, it goes that little bit further, because Glen is one of these people that notices every tiny detail, and it can drive you absolutely crazy, especially when he's usually correct. So we were driving around for hours and we were looking at different houses, really not with the idea to buy something on our first go out. I mean, we really thought, you know, this was just an initial look around. The agent said, oh, you know, if only you were here a couple of weeks ago, I had the perfect house, but it's gone. And I said, well, define gone. And he said, well, they're just arguing about whether to take, some of the furniture or not. I said, well, if they're arguing about anything, it's not gone, let's go have a look. So we drove another couple of hours. We got to the gates here, and Glen goes, we'll take this one, based on the gates. We drove up, and then the gates told the story, because the rest of the house was exactly what we wanted. He was absolutely right. My husband and I have been together for 60 years, which seems quite impossible, of course, because I do not look 70, though I am, or in my 70th year. But I think the mystery of our relationship being so successful and lasting so long isn't really a mystery. There's one big factor that made it possible, and that I should forever be grateful for. And her name is Arlene, and that's Glen's mom. So we met when we were 9, and we were best buddies. Glen will say that he fell in love immediately, but I don't know, but I believe him. But when we were 12, I'll never forget, Glen said to me, you're so perfect, I want to spend my whole life with you, if only you were a girl. And I thought to myself, you don't really mean that. You don't really mean that. And I didn't know what being gay was. I had no idea. I mean, the word never, I don't think, no one ever said the word, at least on suburban Long Island. And so Glen's mother came to us and said, and remember, the 12 years old, and this is 1968. And she said, I know that you two have a very special relationship, and don't let anyone ever tell you that there's anything wrong with that. This is 1968. And those were just an unbelievable comfort for us, like incredible. So we're in the main living space, and this would have been where all of life took place for the family. Everyone would have been here, all the cooking, probably a lot of the sleeping, probably everything in life happened in this room at one time. It has this absolutely wonderful oversized fireplace. For a farmhouse, it's quite dramatic fireplace. It has these lovely original floors, and a volume of space that you don't often get in a farmhouse. It's a special room, and I'm just thrilled to have it. It definitely was the icing on the cake when we walked in and saw this room. We're like, okay. What I love about these lights, and they're old church candelabra, which of course are wonderful in themselves. But I have a friend, a dealer in Florence named Luca, and everything he does, he has that little extra touch that makes something super special. So you look at these lamps, and well, I look at them and I love them. But if this were just classic shades, I would still like them. But what's nice about them is just that they're brought down by just being sort of folded, and there's just an ease to them and a casualness to them. Normally they're quite stiff and fancy fabric, and again, everything is stories, and everything relates back to the people that make things. And Luca's wife, he's the guy out front, and he's a big personality, and he's buying. He's a great buyer. He's always at the antiques fairs, and hopefully I'm one step ahead of him. Usually I'm not. And his wife makes all things like lampshades and many different things. And as I often do, I ask, how did that happen? Where did they come from? And she said, well, I make them out of my old ballet outfits. And she said, would you like to see, one of my dances? So I said, of course. So she takes out her iPhone and she shows me her dancing. And she's a lovely woman, but she became a goddess. I mean, her dancing was so exquisite. And I don't know, I just saw this straight line from her dancing to these lampshades. I know, it makes no sense, I guess. But I don't know, I see her now, I can't look at them without thinking about that video and just how unbelievably electric she was on the stage, probably still can be if she wanted to. So that's those. I have a pair of these cast lions, which I bought from my friend Peter, who for years took me around Belgium and to all the secret sort of haunts of antique dealers. Just the most wonderful man in the world. Then this is just a bit of theater. It actually was from a theater, and there's a reclamation place called La Colle here in Tuscany that I haunt, and you can find things like this. So I bought two of them, one for this fireplace and one for the one downstairs, but it just gives it that extra something, I think. I just think that they're super, definitely outside of my usual wheelhouse. But they're made by a couple called Draga and Orel. And they are an incredible couple. They're quite famous now, represented by top galleries in the States. But I knew her when she was just sort of making fabric, and she made fabric for me at Anthropologie. And she's gorgeous. Talented, and her husband is an extraordinary artist, absolutely wonderful artist. And now they're making all manner of furniture. But they made these, and I just think they're great. And I just wanted to have something, I wanted to have something that modern, and I just don't want to be all, period correct. I like to mix things up. Then this crazy owl. I was driving to lunch, and I drove by this warehouse. It was an old tobacco warehouse. And there were these enormous animals. And I had to drive in. And I drove in. And this fellow, Antonio, was there. And he's the artist. And he was making these huge animals for the Naples Museum, which was reopening after a long renovation. He was making them for their opening. And so we became friends, and I bought an owl from him, but this is small for him. He makes enormous tyrannosauruses, and they're quite extraordinary. And we went on to, I brought my friend Annie to meet him. She's an artist, lovely artist. And Annie is part of an arts club in London. And she gets on the phone with her friends and makes a deal with Antonio. We're all going to take art classes. So the next thing you know, a bunch of my friends are coming down, and we're taking an art class in Tuscany with Antonio, and we're making things out of things we find in his warehouse, things we find in the fields. Great fun, absolutely great fun. I love this lion. It's a terracotta lion. And he is several hundred years old. And I bought him from an antique dealer in Florence who is, I don't think he would mind my saying, he's probably 90 years old. And he sits in the shop that he's owned forever. And all the other dealers come to him and ask his advice and ask if something's authentic or not. He's like the go-to man in Florence. He's just, and I just love this whole idea, this whole coffee clutch of dealers. And he's just, I don't know, he's earned his place, and he has the respect of everybody else, all the other dealers in Florence. So I don't go to Florence without stopping by and saying hello. And his wife, who's 90 years old, is bicycling around Florence. So it's quite impressive people. This is the table that I wanted it to be, of course, Italy is all about marble so much. But I also have a connection to Greece. I've been going to Greece for many, many, many years. And my goddaughter introduced me to a gallery in Athens. And there was an artist there who made this table. And I just thought, well, I had to have that. I think it's one of the coolest things I've seen. I absolutely love this table. Then after taking the class with Antonio, I made this cingale. So cingale is a wild boar. And I made them up. I had bought a wall, like 12 different little wall candelabras. And they came in really rough shape. I bought them online, and when they came, I'm like, oh, I can't use them. They're really rough. So when we went over and started taking the class, I thought, well, I could incorporate them into something. So I made this wild boar, which I'm very pleased with. One of my dearest friends, David Grocott, just opened up a gallery and shop in Arezzo. And he's a British guy, and he does things very spontaneously. And he came to visit me here, and then he went to Arezzo with his wife, Bridget. And the two of them fell in love with Arezzo and opened up a shop. And I have been looking for a year for something to put in this niche. So I saw this stool that David made, and what it is lace that, antique lace that they bought in Vatican City years ago. And David, just why it occurred to him to do it, how it occurred to him to do it, but he had an old three-legged stool. Maybe it's like a Welsh milking stool or just an old stool. And he just covered it in this lace that he got in Vatican City. And it's tied, so there is a cross there. So I just thought this is just perfect for this spot. I absolutely love it for this spot. So I brought it home and put it up there, and that's it. That'll stay there forever. I've spent so many years traveling. I was the found objects buyer for a chain of stores called Anthropologie, and Glen was the CEO of the parent company, Urban Outfitters, which also ran Anthropologie. And I was very fortunate in that position, and it gave me great freedom to travel all over the world, which I did for many, many, many years. I could throw a dartboard at a map and just go there if I thought that there was something to pursue for the company. And I was a very, very happy traveler, and I've always been an incredibly visual person, and I just, I see something that I love, and I'm just, I don't know, I'm a hound dog with it. And I'm pretty clear about what I love. And we've always come to Tuscany. We've always visited here. I did quite a bit of buying here. But it was our go-to holiday location. And so it made sense that, we need a bit of sunshine, because England, as much as I love it, the winter months get awfully gray, and we just needed to, like a lot of people living in England, it's good to have a place to go to when it gets too gray for too long. So we started looking in Tuscany, and I really didn't think we were going to buy anything in the first weekend out, because I looked in England for 2 years. But we walked, we came here, we saw the gates, we came into the house, and bought it that day. So our house in England is a bit, on the fancy side, and a bit very sort of proper house, big Georgian house. And we didn't want that. We didn't want, we wanted something that we could own a bit more casually and not have to have it constantly looked after. We really wanted something cozy and a farmhouse. And it's hard to find. It's not easy to find a farmhouse that's pretty original, that hasn't been knocked about too much, and that has great privacy. We wanted a lot of privacy, and this place has complete privacy. We're not overlooked by anyone, and yet we're very close to a wonderful town, which was made famous by Frances Mays and her book Under the Tuscan Sun. By incredible luck, the day that we bought the house, we were invited to a lunch by a woman who recognized me from an old TV show that I did years ago called Man Shops Globe. And who is at lunch but Frances Mays. So really our first day here, we met Frances Mays and had lunch, and I felt like we couldn't be more at home. With just the reception from the local people, the experience of the work that we have had done, just the lovely people that we've met. It's been everything that we could have hoped for. When we bought the house, there was a wall here. It was just a sheetrock wall. But I didn't know it was a sheetrock wall. I thought it was a solid stone wall. And then Lucio, my lovely neighbor who knows a lot about old houses and knew this house for many years, said, Keith, you've got to take that down, take that silly wall down and reconnect these rooms. And so I did, and as soon as I did, I was so glad that I did, because it just gives that extra depth to this room. And it became a wonderful office for Glen, and just a great little hangout space. We just adore being in here. When you have just a little intimate space, you just feel very protected from the world, and I just love coming in here. Every window has a view. The windows here are just looking out, actually we're in Tuscany, but that's Umbria, just in the hills across the way. So you're looking out onto the Umbrian hills. Then I found this stove, and this is an old terracotta stove from Venice. And Lucio had told me, there was a stove like this when I found the house, and I don't know what happened to it. It was gone. So I was lucky enough to find another one to replace it, and I absolutely love it. So it's sort of mythological things happening where they're obviously from Venice, but she's wearing a mask. So I thought quite an interesting thing. It's just one of those rooms that's just so cozy because it's so small and intimate. And one thing I know is that people love these small spaces, and so often people are coming into this room and hanging out, and not in the big fancy room. So this is a sofa by Joe Colombo. It's like a 60s sofa. The artwork is by me again. I love this lamp. I've yet to find a shade for it, but it's a 60s Italian design. My favorite room in this house, the room that I'm in is the most impressive room, but I think my favorite room, can I say two rooms? So I have two favorite rooms. One of them is the kitchen. And it's because already, of course in Italy, it's all about food. So we, Glen is in there cooking nonstop, and people are coming over nonstop, and so it's the heart of the house. And I'm very pleased with the room, because I wanted it to feel timeless, but it came together in a great way. I got this incredible refrigerator that made its way from Argentina to England to Tuscany. It's an old butcher shop refrigerator, and it's restored by a company in England called the Vintage Fridge Company. And they do a great job. And it's so, I just, every time I go in to get some milk or something, whatever, it's so satisfying, those big latches. And then another cabinet that's in there that I bought from these two dealers in Parma, which is the best antiques fair in Italy if you like a hunt, if you like the possibility of a great find and bargain. Parma is amazing. It's football fields of dealers, and make sure you go. There's only a couple a year that are the big ones, but if you like the hunt, it's the one to go to. And they had these two older dealers that absolutely lovely guys, and they had a cabinet that I fell in love with, and I never saw anything quite like it. And it was in the same kitchen in Bologna for over 200 years. And they were able to buy the contents of the kitchen. And what I love about Italian dealers, it's not about the money. And this is with a lot of antique dealers. It's really, people just love the objects. They love the stuff. And so I've run into them like 3 times after I bought the cabinet. And each time they've asked me about the cabinet. How is it? Where is it? It's interesting how meaningful those finds can be, and how meaningful to interact with something so beautiful. So the other room that I love because our first guest to the house wanted to, our British friends, and it was the Queen's Jubilee. And they just said, we're coming, do you have a television? We have to watch the Jubilee. And I didn't have a television, so I ran out and I bought a television, which is something I wasn't going to do, but I did. And I promptly opened the box, took it out, dropped it on the floor, and broke it. So I had to go out and buy another television. But anyway, so we call it the Jubilee Room. And the reason why I love it is because I met this lovely woman, Doris, who is an incredible faux painter. And I was in a stunning villa in Florence where they uncovered these old frescoes that were hidden for hundreds of years. And I just love them, and I took a picture and I said, Doris, can you do something like this? And she nailed it. So it's kind of funny because it's a little room, and these the originals are from this vast palace, so not really authentic in any way. But I love it. It's just warm and inviting. It has a very cool sofa, which my goddaughter told me that I should get when she was at the Parma Antiques Fair with me. And I listened to her because she has great taste. She knows what's good and cool. And but she didn't take into account that there's a 45-year difference in our ages. So we struggle to get in and out of the sofa, but it does look wonderful. So those are the 2 rooms that are my favorite. Okay, so now we're in our kitchen, which is, of course, where we spend most of our time, as we all do. But I'm very pleased with this room. I'm very happy. This quite an ancient stove, which I bought in Parma, which is a wood-burning stove. So it is fully functional. It will be connected very soon. And how many wood-fired meals we'll make on it, I don't know, but we're definitely going to give it a shot. This wall is, these are old Sicilian tiles, a couple hundred years old. And I just love how completely individual they are, and I love the wear, and just the extraordinary design, you know, the variety of designs. There's a whole museum in Naples that just has these tiles, room after room, of all these tiles and all the patterns that they've had. I just think they're quite something. And then these plates they're just funny, because when you go to restaurants back in the 60s, their specialties would be put on the plates. So, you know, when you were dining, you know, you could just say, I'm at this restaurant, I'm going to have the shrimp, you know, or I'm going to have, you know. So I just think such a cute thing to do. I wish people would do it again. So this is the thing that almost gave me a heart attack, because this is my refrigerator. You can imagine, if you see the depth, you can imagine what this weighs. It weighs a lot, I can tell you. And it came from Argentina, made its way to England, where the Vintage Fridge Company rigged it out completely inside, and then made its way here to this door where it could not get in because you could not lift it. And it spent 3 months outside that door. It got snowed on. And it was not an inexpensive purchase. It was quite an expensive purchase. And Glen was a little concerned about it. We had a few discussions about it. But we finally figured out, or I didn't figure out, I had a guy who really knows how to move anything, and he came with, it's like a scissor, it almost looks like a little tank treads, and then it does that sort of scissor action where it can lift up. So they got it there, put it on its side, lifted it up because there's 3 steps down, and then just slid it in on its side, and it made it by a 1/16 of an inch on every side. It was really scary. So thank goodness, because otherwise I don't know what I would have done. But it worked out. Refrigerators are just very unattractive, and so I just can't stand looking at them. So it was important for me to have something beautiful. For me, this is just really beautiful. And there are people that fake them. There are new ones. They never. I'm an antiques person. I've been my whole life. So this is just something that I couldn't compromise on this. I had to have it. And thank goodness in the end we were able to get it in the house. And this old cabinet, this was meant to be this way. This was another of me just getting by with a little bit of luck, thank goodness. Because it actually is too tall for these beams. So the only place it could go is where it is. And it wasn't exactly where I originally planned to have it, but thankfully it's fine just here. This is the cabinet from Bologna that, what's really special about it is all these doors open up, and that, keeps your pies, fresh or aired. You can hang your meats without fear of, the mice getting in. And the fact that it has those, and then it has them on the side as well, I think it's unique. I've never seen it. And this is when those 2 old fellows were still ask me about it, because it's a very special piece. I love this table. This is another seriously heavy object, refractory table that's at least 200 years old, probably 300 years old. And my goodness, I'm one of those people who constantly moves furniture around, trying to place things. Would it look better here? Would it look better there? This got into the place and it has not moved and will not move, because you need like 4 people to help. So this is our dining room. It's very small. more of like a breakfast nook, I suppose. But actually, I mean, the best parties and the best get-togethers are when everyone's really, close in the room. And we've sat 8 people at this table. This is seems impossible, but we all had a good time. I bought an antique chandelier in Florence, and it was candles, obviously, not wired, so rewired it. I bought this wonderful tureen from the 60s, and the reason why I bought it is I thought, I love that sort of interesting style of like a drawing on it, and wouldn't that be great if I had Doris, my lovely muralist, do that in the hallway. So I was going to have her do a hallway based on the drawing of the tureen, and then I found out how difficult that would be and how much work that would be, and I said, all right, we don't need to do that. She got very busy elsewhere. But it's just wonderful having the fire and sitting and being with your friends and being at the fire and eating Glen's amazing pizza. It makes the best pizza in the world. The next room is our TV room, but we fancily call it the Jubilee room, and that's because my British friends, who were the first people to come, wanted to see the Jubilee, and so I had to go and get a TV. So this became the TV room, and then Doris made the mural in here. And apparently there's 1,000 birds that she had to make impressions. So come in and see this room. So this is all based on an incredible villa in Florence that all these murals were uncovered hundreds of years ago, from hundreds of years ago. And so when I saw it, I just took a bunch of pictures and thought, maybe one day I would make a mural. And then I met Doris and thought, well, how could I make quite a small room, ordinary room, something special? And it transformed the space. So this is the 70s sofa that I have a very hard time getting out of, but I love it, and it's amazing with the wall color. I think it just really works tremendously well. This is from my friend Mark Antonio, who this was just an extraordinary gift that he gave me for helping him out early in his career. And he made that's his concept, and just an incredible thing, and incredibly kind for him to remember after many, many years. He remembered that I helped him out, and he gave me that. So I'm very, very proud of that. So these are from a woman, Helene, in Venice, who I've bought many, many things from over the years. She's got a lovely shop in Venice, and she does all the sort of hand-printed silks, and she's a talented lady. So, and here's another shade from my dancer friend, and this she's added some wax and magic to. There's an amazing shop in Arezzo. And this fellow, I don't know how, you have to always go back to the people go back to the well. Some people just have it. And this fellow, every time I go by his shop, he's got a great window display, and he's found some collection. And he had, this was an art school, and he had 50 portraits. And so I bought a bunch of them. And I want to, maybe I should stop, because I love looking at the walls too. But it's fun to buy a collection. In fact, just the other day I bought some fish from him, which I will show you in a minute. So this is a guest bedroom, and this is another room that was transformed by Doris with another pattern that I found. Where did I find this pattern? I forget exactly where, but just in my in my records. So another turning a rather plain, room with a low ceiling into something quite special. So I've got these wonderful old Tuscan plates, sort of 200-year-old plates. This is an 18th century armoire, and then and a 60s lamp. So I'm doing my best to stay current. I'm trying to mix it up with a little bit of contemporary stuff. This was an unusable room because the ensuite bathroom was absolutely terrible. So I did transform that bathroom, which I'm quite pleased with. So this is all reclaimed material. The floors are 18th century floors, which I bought in a reclamation place in Forte de Marme, which is a seaside town. These stones I actually got from the property. They were lying around on the property. And the sink I was absolutely thrilled to find. And it's at least a couple of 100 years old. The light I just hung, it's from my friend Luca. I just think, again, something unexpected. And then this same fellow that I bought the portraits from, I just bought these fish from. He had a whole window full of them. So, anyway, it's this is just a matter. This was taking the whole bathroom is like 2 by 2, but at least now I don't have to be embarrassed for people to come and stay here and use this bathroom. I actually quite like it. The funny thing about the house was that we bought it from an English woman who had lovely taste, but it was very English. I mean, the kitchen looked like an English cottage kitchen, to my mind. The house was decorated quite sort of a relaxed, sort of shabby chic English style, which was charming, but it's not what I wanted. I wanted Italy. We have England. I really wanted Italy, and so I made up my mind that anything that we got, I did break the rules a couple of times, but I said almost anything that we would get, that it would be Italian, and we pretty much stuck to that. And then in terms of renovation, I redid the bathrooms. I didn't have to change anything really. I just, it really is much more decoration than, we didn't move any walls or, you can't. The rules are very, very strict. You can't change a window. But the good news is it's great as it is. It's just wonderful as it is. So it was just the addition of some really fun objects. This place is a bit of a challenge in the sense that I've had things that I've owned in my life for my entire life. And it's wonderful in a way to have that, to have things that you love and these touchstones that you've had forever. But there's also constricting. So when we moved here, when we bought this place, it was everything was brand new. Everything that we did was new, or old but new to us. So that's liberating, but also challenging. So you have to figure out where to start. You have to get a sense of just get a sense of really what you want and how you want to live, and I wanted to get on with it too. I don't like to, I didn't want to lose a season. I wanted to be able to be in. So for me, shopping is, that's what I did for Anthropologie for 25 years. I just did nothing but, hit every single market in the world, whether it was, the Philippines or Indonesia or Shanghai or, New Delhi. I was there. So, give me a chance to shop And I can be quite dangerous because I'm very used to buying for quite a few stores. I mean, there were several hundred in the end. And so when you're only shopping for yourself, you gotta rein it in a little. And that's a challenge. And you gotta make sure everything fits. And there were a few very close calls in terms of getting things to fit, meaning getting in a door. Because the doors are small. You can't get in a window. The windows are small. I pride myself on my eye and knowing when things will work, but we had a few very, very heavy objects that spent a lot of time outside until I figured out finally how to get them into the house. We're heading toward my bedroom, but I wanted something for this space. I chanced upon this artist, Roberto Ghezzi, who I think he's quite amazing, and he's quite relevant for today and about climate change and environmental issues. So he takes canvases and he'll leave it half in, half out of the lake for a year. Just leave it alone. And then come back, fish it out, and then has a way of making it permanent, what happened. And it just shows, it environmentally tells you a lot about what happened in the lake, what's going on. He's another guy that's very interesting to talk to because there's so much behind. But it's just another thing where in the end it's a beautiful object, but actually there's so much there. I found this pretty much on the side of the road. It's actually the cover to an enormous oil pot. There's the handle. So I just love it. And then I broke them up with a little gold frame, and my friend Leslie, who's always sending me dog-related things, sent me this picture of the dog. So anyway, I just love looking at that. So this is our bedroom. It's still a bit of a work in progress, but I just found these Murano chandeliers, and I thought it was a fairly novel idea to have them as bedside lamps, and I like the way that worked out. I'm happy with that. The tapestry is it's a scarf really, and it's from William Kentridge, the South African artist William Kentridge, and whose work I just love. I actually love these chairs, these wicker chairs, which I got online. I took a flyer on eBay, Italian eBay, and they arrived looking just as good as I hoped they would. So, and then my friend Mimi, very sweetly, we had in touring around, we saw this old chapel, and she does needlepoint. So she shows up with a needlepoint the other day of the old chapel, sort of record of a trip that we took. I wouldn't have thought I'd respond to something like this again in my life. It's like they said, if you wore a miniskirt when they were in fashion, don't wear them again. Not that I ever wore a miniskirt, but it's just one of those things that just sets off a room. I mean, if this was just another conventional lamp, the room could get a little dry, and just one little fun element can really can just make you look twice at everything else in the room too. But what I'm really happy about is our little bathroom here. I mean, I love the shower. The shower it's a reclaimed gate. So this was just a completely conventional bathroom with, all white, just all white. So I found these wonderful reclaimed tiles and the old gate. And then I took more reclaimed tiles and made the wall. So, I mean, in the end, it was just a very simple process. But they don't complicate things here. You don't need to complicate things. This all happened in a week. You know, it all came together in a week. And this was just a plastic. It was a plastic shower. You know, it was just absolutely hideous. And for very little effort, you know, not a lot of dosh. It came together in a really sweet way. I love certain finds, like this little faucet. You know, one little object I think can just center a room. This was a fountain in a village, you know, where everyone got their water. So it just has, you know, it's got a lot of presence, and here it is, now reused here. So there's a little outbuilding here. There are a couple of them, actually. I'll show you this one. This may actually wind up being an art studio for me. I think that might be its final purpose. But come in and have a look. Very sweet. So again, a mural by Doris. This is actually an old shower that my friend Leslie drove down from Amsterdam and had this in the back of her car. A surprise gift, to say the least. Anyway, it's just a sweet room. So the quilts are from Lisa Corti, and the mural is by Doris. And then this sort of, I love Morande, the painter, and there's a fellow who, in a naive way, you know, not really, he's no Morandi, but I just love that he loved Morandi so much that he made hundreds of paintings in his style. And so I don't know, just to honor his love of Morandi, I got a bunch of them. So anyway, it's just a sweet space, and it's nice for people to have a place to come that's away from us, and you know, they can have privacy. I think what people respond to about the house is that there is a bit of modernism. There is a bit of contemporary stuff, some artwork, and some lighting and some objects that are not period. So it does seem as, you know, most of the Italian homes that I've seen are either very strictly period pieces, or then they've gone very contemporary. And you know, I think I tried to get the balance of a bit of contemporary mixed in. And so I've definitely, there is a marble and stone huge table that I got in Athens. So bringing a marble table to Italy is a bit, you know, close to Newcastle, but it's this artist interpretation that I just loved. So I did bring that, and that's caused quite a bit of conversation. People want to know all about that. And then I bought a 15-foot long stone top table for the garden that was, everyone is sort of knocked out by that, because it is very impressive. And if you saw it coming in and how it came in, if you weren't impressed before, you'd be impressed then, because, oh my God, that had me, had my heart stopped for a few times. So. Something that I'm essential to us is pizza oven. So I made this pizza oven, and this fellow Saeed, who's just a brilliant stonemason, made this oven, and I asked him to just absolutely base it on the wall, and base the chimney on the chimneys on the house, so it is pretty indistinguishable from the house. I just think it's a great success, but not as great a success as Glen's pizzas, which are really a success. But this is the focus of a lot of our life. So this was a chestnut farm back in the day. So it's 160 acres, and it's wonderful to walk actually into the forest and see some of these wonderful old trees. I mean, so many of them, there was a disease, I guess, at some point, but even the old trees that are now gone, their trunks are just works of art. They're so stunning. I love to walk down there and walk around, and of course, it's also collecting mushrooms, porcini mushrooms. Apparently, we're renowned for them, because when we first moved here, there were all these older people walking around with baskets on the property. I'm like, wait, why are all these people here? But there's this sort of right to roam on certain days apparently, for porcinis, which is great. I love it. I don't dare pick mushrooms, because if you don't grow up picking mushrooms, you probably shouldn't, to get yourself into trouble. But apparently it's good picking around here. And I do love the pool, because it's one of those endless pools, but there's such a wonderful view. And then the other thing about the garden is it's great looking this way, but it's also wonderful looking this way, because we've got several levels going up, and I've got different sculptures, and it's just we try to create different purposes for every level, so just to draw you up. In the end, I make myself go up there, but it's just great exercise. Another thing about Tuscany and people appreciating different things, there's a fellow who he just finds rocks. He finds big rocks that have character. So I was trying to create interest in the garden, and I heard about him, and so he came with all these amazing stones. I mean, there's so much in that stone, and I think I got half a dozen from him of different sizes, and he just showed up with a big truck and unloaded them, but he goes into the forest and he finds these old stones. It's quite how he does it, I don't know, but here they are. And then this is just a crate. This is the place to be. This bench just the best view in the house. So I come out here and have my coffee or have a sandwich, and I'm an early riser, so I watch the sunrise, and that's the Apennine Mountains down there. So it's really an incredible, peaceful spot. This is our cactus garden, which is a work in progress, but so far so good. And then I have this mammoth stone table, which is under this grape arbor. And this is one bit of stone. So it's from there. It's 15 feet long, and it weighs tons. And getting it in here was something else. Because of this structure, they basically had to angle it in and then sort of swing it. with a huge truck, with a big giant lift. I I closed my eyes a bit of the time. I couldn't bear to watch, but thankfully, here it is. I really don't want to buy any more incredibly heavy things anymore. That's it. No more. So these old chestnut trees, I mean, they're just struggling to stay alive. I don't know how old they are, but they're old. But I mean, the character that they have, it will be a sad day, when they finally give up the ghosts. But they're just, one of the joys of the property. Coming home to this place, it's interesting because I thought, oh my goodness, why are we getting another country house? Why, because I was a city boy. I grew up, we spent most of our lives in New York City. And then we wound up buying a country house where we live permanently. And then we bought another country house, which seemed a bit redundant, but it's not. The experience here, the warmth of the people, it's such a unique and special thing. The way the Italians value art and food and their culture, it's just something to behold. It still exists. It's not, people are saying, people are losing their traditions and losing, this, and things are going away. But sure, but still, I just value the differences between what they bring and what I bring. I see the world in a new place, in a new way when I come here, and my friends that come over, my Italian friends that come over. I'm just gaining, at the best of travel, you gain an understanding of the world, a better understanding of yourself in the world. And it's a different kind of home. It's a different kind of feeling of home. But it's tremendously valid for us. We just love everyone that we've met and had over. Glen has fed half the neighborhood many times. It's everything that we wanted it to be.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.